You know, even though it caused a lot of trouble for the Justice League reshoots, I do have to admit, that mustache is pretty magnificent. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp site. Today we got ourselves a movie review of Mission Impossible Fallout, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who also directed the previous film, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and this time around, Ethan Hunt, once again played by Tom Cruise, is suffering the consequences of not obtaining plutonium for an assignment that revolves around the previous villain from the last movie, and yeah, Henry Cavill's there too. That's all I'm going to tell you about the plot, because that's all the trailers want you to know, so if I tell you anything else, well then you're going to get upset with me. So I've only had the luxury of seeing 2 Mission Impossible movies in the theater, Rogue Nation and now Fallout, and I remember sitting in the theater at Rogue Nation, and when it ended, I just kind of sat back thinking, oh, yeah, that was pretty great, and I just got up. But for this one, I sat in my seat wide-eyed at the end credits going, holy crap, that was awesome! This movie has everything that a great action movie needs. Really great practical stunts with the actual actors doing the majority of them, excellent cinematography, great characters, a fantastic soundtrack, and mustaches. One of the major highlights of the Mission Impossible movies are these stunts, and there are several just really good action sequences in here. You know, you got the one where Tom Cruise is, doing all this crazy motorcycle riding through the streets of Paris, and then he's hanging from a helicopter and then subsequently flying a helicopter, and there's just some really great action inside a bathroom, on a cliff. It's just all really well done, and what I really like is that a lot of it is spread out throughout the movie as well. One of my gripes about Rogue Nation is that, the one really big stunt that was in there was a few of them, but the big one that was advertised on the poster and in the trailers was the one where Tom Cruise was hanging off of the plane, but it was in the opening sequence. I'm like, wow, did you just want to have my money to see this movie for the first 10 minutes, But here, it's like you got the helicopter sequence towards the end of the movie, you got the motorcycle chase, kind of when you're leaning towards the middle of the film, and you got some just really great interior action scenes as well. The action is just really exhilarating, it's very well shot, and the rest of the movie is really well shot as well. Great use of color and film. It was shot on 35mm, which just looks fantastic, and this is absolutely a movie you should see in the largest format you can. Pretty much anybody that's seen this movie would tell you that. Now, of course, everybody says you should see it in IMAX, which I unfortunately could not see it in IMAX, but I did see it on a large screen. I saw it in Cinemark XD, which, it's still a very large screen, really nice sound, and leather seats, so it's not quite as good as IMAX, but still, it definitely made things better. One thing I have to compliment the movie on as far as sound design goes is one of the same compliments I gave to John Wick Chapter 2, how you feel all the gunshots when they go off. It was just really nice, because it really helps immerse you in the experience, and doesn't just feel like mindless gunfire. Tom Cruise is basically an unstoppable human being. He does a lot of great stunts in this movie, and he gives a great performance as Ethan Hunt as well, but it's just crazy how dedicated a guy like that is to a role of this nature, because, he broke his ankle doing a stunt on set, and he wasn't supposed to get back on business for another 6 months, but 2 weeks later he was doing his Tom Cruise running thing, and everything was back to normal. That man is not human. Henry Cavill, he plays this big dude, he's basically the Hammer of the CIA. If he has to put the hurt in on you, he's going to. I mean, he's just so cool that he just cocks his arms like they're shotguns. That's pretty awesome. One thing that I actually found kind of funny about Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill when they're in the same scenes together and it cuts to a wider angle, Tom Cruise, he's not exactly your definition of tall, he's only about 5'7", and Henry Cavill is, I believe he's about 6'1", so normally Tom Cruise, he would be standing on apple boxes to look like he matches the height of everybody else, but I think here they didn't try to cheat his height at all, because they wanted to make him look so small and frail compared to Henry Cavill, which works very well. If I had to go up against Henry Cavill, I'd be intimidated as well, even though we're about the same height. But still, he's Superman, and I'm not. There are a lot of clever twists and turns throughout the movie where you think the scene's gonna go one way, but then these characters come out and be like, "Ha! Gotcha, bitch!" And I also really like how this ties together all 6 Mission Impossible movies pretty nicely. You know, of course you have the villain from the last movie. You know, Ethan Hunt, he has this love interest played by Rebecca Ferguson, but he also used to have a wife, and she makes a very brief cameo in the movie, which I don't think that's a spoiler, they showed it in the trailer. You know, it was just really, I always like it when movies try to have that little connective tissue between one another like that, especially when there are so many movies in a franchise like we have now. You know, there are a couple different story elements and plot points in this movie that one might consider a little bit too unoriginal, but you know what, since the whole movie is just built around all this other great stuff, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I just came out of this movie and I was just super pumped and just really happy I saw this. I have every intention of seeing in the theater again and hopefully in IMAX as well. So all in all, Mission Impossible Fallout is arguably the best one of the series. It's one of the most entertaining action movies I've seen in quite a while. It's got amazing stunts, really great cinematography, fantastic sound design, and a really catchy soundtrack. I almost kind of want to download it and listen to it in the car one night. So, those are my thoughts on Mission Impossible Fallout. If you guys have seen the movie, because you should, comment down below, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.